Imagine a man who stole a Confederate warship from under the noses of the rebel army, disguised himself as a white captain in the dead of night, and sailed a crew of slaves past 5 heavily armed forts to deliver them and the ship to the Union blockade. This is not a myth. This is the story of Robert Smalls, the man who forced Abraham Lincoln to change the course of the Civil War. The humid air of Charleston, South Carolina in May 1862 felt like a wet blanket soaked in salt and fear. In the harbor, the CSS Planter, a side-wheeled steamship, bobbed against the wooden pilings of the southern wharf. To the Confederate officers, the ship was a vital transport vessel for heavy artillery. To the man standing on its deck, Robert Smalls, it was a floating cage and his only way out. Robert was 33 years old, short, stocky, and possessed an intellect that the laws of the South refused to acknowledge. Born into slavery in Beaufort, he had been sent to Charleston to work the docks. He knew every sandbar, every tide change, and every signal code of the harbor. He was the wheelman, though the Confederacy would never give a black man the title of captain. On this night, the white officers of the Planter did something they weren't supposed to do. They went ashore to sleep in their own beds, leaving the ship in the hands of the enslaved crew. It was the opening Robert had been waiting for years. Earlier that evening, Robert had whispered to his wife, Hannah, "I'm going to take the ship. If we fail, we die. If we succeed, we are free." Hannah looked at their 2 children. "I will go with you," she said. "If you are caught, I don't want to live to see them sell our children south." The plan was a logistical nightmare. Robert had to coordinate the escape of his crew and their families without alerting the city guards. While the Confederate officers were dining in the city, the families of the crew were smuggled onto a nearby barge, waiting in the darkness of the Cooper River. At 3 a.m., the boilers were fired. Smoke hissed from the funnels. Robert donned the captain's tall straw hat and a long overcoat. In the dim light of the gas lamps on the shore, his silhouette looked exactly like Captain Relia. To get to the Union blockade, Robert had to pass 5 Confederate forts. The most dangerous was Fort Sumter, the massive stone fortress where the war had begun. As the Planter approached the fort, the crew trembled. If they were signaled to stop and didn't, the fort's cannons would vaporize the wooden ship in seconds. Robert stood at the wheel, his back straight, mimicking the captain's distinctive posture. He pulled the cord for the steam whistle, 2 long blasts and 1 short, the secret Confederate code for friend. From the high walls of Fort Sumter, the sentry looked down at the ship passing in the pre-dawn gray. He saw the straw hat, he saw the confident stride. "Pass, Planter," he shouted. As the ship cleared the range of the guns, the crew erupted in silent tears, but they weren't safe yet. As the sun began to rise, the Planter approached the Union fleet. To the Union sailors, a Confederate warship was charging straight at them. The USS Onward swung its massive guns around, preparing to fire. "Lower the palmetto flag," Robert yelled. They had no white flag. In a moment of desperation, Hannah Smalls stepped forward with a white bedsheet she had brought from her home. They hoisted the sheet. The USS Onward held its fire. As the ships drew close, Robert pulled off his hat and shouted, "Good morning, sir. I've brought you some of your old United States guns, sir." The news of Robert Smalls' escape electrified the North. He was a hero. But Robert didn't just want his own freedom. He wanted to end the war. He traveled to Washington, D.C. and met with President Abraham Lincoln. At the time, Lincoln was hesitant to allow black men to fight. Smalls looked the president in the eye and told him about the thousands of men in the South waiting for the signal to join the Union. History records that this meeting was a turning point. Shortly after, the Union began recruiting black soldiers, leading to the formation of the United States Colored Troops.